At the senior living community where her sick mom lived, she made a new friend named Andy who wanted to take care of her medications. I put up cameras and saw her hurt my mom in this way. I am 40 years old and my mother is 70 years old. She has been in hospice care for a long time. She was living in a place for seniors to live on their own with flats. I thought she had lived there for 6 or 7 months and had made a few friends with the older people, but she had mostly kept to herself. A woman came up to us with my mom a few weeks ago while my boys and I were there to see her. We live just down the street and go there a lot. She hugged me instead of shaking my hand when I tried to introduce myself, saying, "Oh, I only give hugs to family. And we're pretty much family." That's a little strange coming from someone I've never met and haven't even heard of. But I kind of ignore it because I think she's just lonely. When I asked my mom about this new friend, she just said that they met at the senior center and that she had been wonderful friends with her ever since. Good. I love it when my mom has friends. It's important to have friends. I don't know why, but this woman keeps making me feel weird feelings. A few things seem odd to me. 1. Because she loved the new complex so much, this new friend decided to move in with my mom, who is moving this weekend to a more normal apartment complex. Her apartment isn't done yet. She will, however, be moving into the same building as my mother next month. 2. They had only known each other for about 2 months when she allegedly gave my mom's dog a hoodie for Christmas. I have the best aunt in the world. 3. She also called me the other day for some reason I don't understand. I think she wanted to give me her phone number and properly introduce herself. That person talked a lot about taking care of my mom. I told her, "Oh, I can handle her medications for you if you want," even though I appreciated the offer. It might be better for them to just be friends instead of her working too hard to take care of her, since there are a lot of controlled drugs and hospice would rather not have too many people involved with the meds as possible. She talked badly about my mom in front of her and said things like she's just an exhausting person to make it look like I was calling her names. When I asked my new friend to explain why she went to my mom and shared our private conversation in a biased way, she lied and said that my mom had taken her phone and read all of the text messages. Phone calls were used instead of texts. I knew it wasn't going to help, so I dropped it when she tried to talk when I told her there were no texts. 4. When I call my mom on the phone, I can hear this woman telling her what to say or being rude. Even though none of it is really a problem, I feel like I can't talk to anyone but my mother. I believe people a lot and usually think the best of them. On top of that, this woman has been very nice to me during our talks, and I haven't had any reason to doubt her intentions. Still, I can't get rid of the feeling that something is wrong. Yesterday I told my mom how I felt about this new friend, and she didn't get defensive at all. She didn't agree with me though. She said that her new friend was just being nice and offering to help because she knows my mom isn't very organized and could use the help. I begged my mom to be careful, to build the friendship slowly, to keep it just that a friendship and to let me, her real family, take care of the caring. My mom's medicines haven't changed, but she's been acting more strangely lately, and it looks like she hasn't been taking her pills. But I only give her one at a time, and the others are always locked away, so that can't be it. Just to be safe though, I took out my mom's credit and bank cards. She's been more confused lately, and I don't want anyone to steal her money. Could you tell me what this woman has to gain by getting in the way of my mom besides money or medicine? Anyone should be able to do a background check, but I don't know how to do one. Several websites did study on this new friend, but all they showed me was that she had a few other names. I couldn't find anything else. I will pay for a background check if anyone knows of any good ones in California. Is anyone else worried about any of this? Or am I just being too protective of my mom? I almost forgot. I called one of my mom's oldest and best friends the other day to see if she had met his new friend and to find out what she thought. She was honest and said, "I don't know why, but I just get a bad feeling about her. On the surface, she seems to be up to no good." Hearing this made me feel better because I know I'm not the only one who has seen something, but now I don't know what to do. Update 1. Thank you so much for all of your responses and helpful advice. Thanks for your last post. I'm sorry I haven't been around for so long. A lot has been going on. I had to take a break in order to think about everything, deal with the endless bad things that happen in real life. Right after my last post, I called my mom to talk. After I told her how worried I was, she agreed to let me put 2 cameras in her apartment. On moving day, I took my kids back to my house, so I wasn't in the apartment when I opened the camera app to check the settings. I heard my friend and my mom talking about me. It wasn't fun, and it looked like the friend was just setting up a way to get in the way of my friendship with my mom. My mom was eagerly taking part in it. When I got back to the apartment, my friend, let's just call her Fran for now, was gone, but I had a fight with my mom. She made me cry as I told her how painful it is to hear my own mother talking badly about me after all the things I have done and will continue to do for her. We both cried because it was so bad. But in the end, I was able to convince her that Fran wasn't acting in a good way. Mom chose to put some space between herself and Fran. She told Fran right away that she could not treat me that way anymore, and that she couldn't talk about anything that had to do with me. Fran seemed to understand and gave me a weak reason for what she did, but I didn't believe her for a second. Following a week or 2 of peace and quiet, I called my mom one morning to check on her. I found out that she was with Fran running chores. When I asked for more information, I learned that Fran had gone to the bank with my mom to get a new debit card. Fran knew I had stolen my mom's bank card with her permission because she was having more memory episodes and didn't know who or what she was spending the money on. Because my mom forgot to give me her old bank card. That was the last straw for me. That night I texted Fran. "Hello, Fran. I wanted to let you know that I don't like it when you get involved in things you shouldn't be, even though I know my mom values your relationship. She told me that today you two were going to the bank to get a card. We are in charge of mom's money together, so we don't need any help, no matter how good the intentions are, to get her in line. She asked me to take her card again, this time a new one, and make me the main account holder so that only she can get the things she needs and no one else can. I really want to believe that you're trying to help my mom, but it's hard to be friends when you're talking about money. By taking care of my mom's money and health needs works out well for us. It makes my mom happy that you're her friend, but she doesn't need any help. I can do it. Say you really want to be her friend. Step back 10 times and look at how I see you. Because in my opinion, it appears that you are straddling the line of elder abuse, and while I'm sure you wouldn't want me to call the police, that is precisely what will happen if things keep going in this direction." Fran had a cliched response that was similar to, "Oh my word, I merely wanted to assist your mom, and I would never take advantage of anybody," etc. "Oh, and I believe that I am to blame for our poor start, daughter. But I would like to start afresh." More blah. I never really responded to Fran, and she has, surprise, stopped contacting my mother. We'll see whether she emerges from the shadows again, though, as I think she is scheduled to move into the apartment complex this weekend. I believe she realizes that I can see right through her attempts to distance herself from my mom, and that she will have to concentrate her efforts on con artists elsewhere. I also informed my mother's social worker and hospice nurses. I also purchased a really clever pill dispenser. I won't mention anything since I'm not endorsing anything, but please don't hesitate to contact me if you need assistance with drug management for any family members. It's pricey and certainly out of reach for many people, but for me, being able to keep my mom's medications organized and safe has changed everything. I receive notifications each time it distributes a pill, since that is secured and connects to an app. The fact that Fran had no access to my mom's prescription drugs at all gave me a lot of relief, but the trip to the bank made it clear to me what Fran was after. I informed the bank that Fran could be with my mother. They must get in touch with me right away. Overall, I believe that most of you are right. Fran was either trying to use my mom for financial gain or was already doing so, but I was fortunate enough to catch her before any harm was done. I believe she is avoiding me since I have made my stance on Fran quite apparent. My mom claims that Fran will be working at the independent living facility when she leaves, so I believe I still need to get in touch with them regarding my worries about her. I promise I'm not making this up. Furthermore, I don't want her to be able to exploit other people. Once again, I want to thank everyone who responded and contacted me with information or guidance. I read all of the responses, and I even read many to my mother. Seeing Fran for who she truly is was a huge boost to her. September 30th, 2024, Update 2. I appreciate everyone who consistently asks me how my mom is doing, and whether there have been any developments. All things considered, my mom is still receiving hospice care and is doing well. Although she has her good and bad days, I'm thankful that she has been coherent for the most part lately. Steph has mainly gone missing. Thankfully, I've urged her to beat it without hesitation ever since. Since then, the only time I've heard from her is when F phoned me and left a message asking how my mom was doing because her phone wasn't functioning. I let her read. Therefore, even though my mom claims to have cut her out entirely, that indicated to me that she hasn't. However, I have taken control of any opportunity F could have to use my mother, with my mother's approval. I informed the social worker and hospice nurses, and I also informed F that I had done so. Additionally, my mom at last met some better friends who live close by and helped watch over her for me. I told F that I wouldn't think twice about going to the police if given a reason, but I didn't go since I didn't think I had a case. I'll keep you all updated if F returns to my mom's company or if I have any further suspicions. However, my mom is protected right now since I manage all of her medications and funds, making it impossible for anybody to try to take anything away from her. I appreciate everyone's attention and caring. They want her medications, according to the comments in which OP responded, Snoo Ideas 8483. Yes, I had the same notion, which is why I firmly locked them away. In order to monitor her medicine at all times, my mom consented to having a camera placed just over her dispenser. In addition to being quite nice, the gizmo I gave her sends me a text message if the door is ever unlocked. Not that it could be, given even my mother is unaware of the passcode. Therefore, several measures are in place to guarantee that anyone ever gets into any of her belongings. The next tale. After refusing to bless my fiancé and giving him 2 rejections, Dad broke off communication. Currently, he claims that he will only attend my wedding if I refuse to have my stepdad lead me down the aisle. My fiancé, 21M, and I, 23F, became engaged a few months ago. We are ecstatic, but my father declined to approve, and as a result, he is not only not attending my wedding but is also severing all of our communication. The worst thing, he is bringing his entire family with him. I'm beginning to question whether I'm the villain in this situation. Let me clarify. My dad and I have never been particularly close. I hardly recall my parents together after they split when I was a baby. My stepdad has been a good father figure ever since my mom remarried when I was 4 years old. I grew up largely with my mom, my brother, and my stepdad because she had 80% custody. We all got along really well. Regarding my dad, we had a good but shallow connection. I saw him once a week, and every other weekend he lived 2 minutes from my mom's place. Although I stopped going as frequently once I became 18, we would still periodically get together for dinner, perhaps once or twice a month. The problem is that I started dating my fiancé, Arch, when I was 22 and he was 20. We were close friends right away after meeting in a youth group. Some people may think it's quick, but when you know, you know. My life would be impossible without him. Arch wanted to get okay from my dad, my mom, and my stepdad before popping the question. My parents were overjoyed and instantly bestowed their blessings. But my father wasn't as helpful. Even though he was retired and had plenty of spare time, he avoided Arch for weeks. My father arrived with 2 printed letters, one for Arch and one for me, indicating that he would not grant his blessing when they eventually met. He handed out the letters without even allowing Arch to ask the inquiry. Additionally, he called Arch's request for my stepfather's approval absurd and mocked it. Arch stood not that it could be, given even my mother is unaware of the passcode. Therefore, several measures are in place to guarantee that anyone ever gets into any of her belongings. The next tale. After refusing to bless my fiancé and giving him 2 rejections, Dad broke off communication. Currently, he claims that he will only attend my wedding if I refuse to have my stepdad lead me down the aisle. My fiancé, 21M, and I, 23F, became engaged a few months ago. We are ecstatic, but my father declined to approve, and as a result, he is not only not attending my wedding but is also severing all of our communication. The worst thing, he is bringing his entire family with him. I'm beginning to question whether I'm the villain in this situation. Let me clarify. My dad and I have never been particularly close. I hardly recall my parents together after they split when I was a baby. My stepdad has been a good father figure ever since my mom remarried when I was 4 years old. I grew up largely with my mom, my brother, and my stepdad because she had 80% custody. We all got along really well. Regarding my dad, we had a good but shallow connection. I saw him once a week, and every other weekend he lived 2 minutes from my mom's place. Although I stopped going as frequently once I became 18, we would still periodically get together for dinner, perhaps once or twice a month. The problem is that I started dating my fiancé, Arch, when I was 22 and he was 20. We were close friends right away after meeting in a youth group. Some people may think it's quick, but when you know, you know. My life would be impossible without him. Arch wanted to get okay from my dad, my mom, and my stepdad before popping the question. My parents were overjoyed and instantly bestowed their blessings. But my father wasn't as helpful. Even though he was retired and had plenty of spare time, he avoided Arch for weeks. My father arrived with 2 printed letters, one for Arch and one for me, indicating that he would not grant his blessing when they eventually met. He handed out the letters without even allowing Arch to ask the inquiry. Additionally, he called Arch's request for my stepfather's approval absurd and mocked it. Up for my stepdad, but it was too late. After some prodding, he told me what had transpired when he got home in a distressed state. I felt insulted and upset, especially when he downplayed my stepdad's importance in my life. I met my dad at a park to discuss things after I had calmed down for a few days. It didn't work out. My father informed me that neither he nor his family would be attending the wedding. I asked him straight out, "You won't attend the wedding if I get engaged?" "No," he responded bluntly. "Are you saying you want nothing to do with me if I go through with this?" I inquired. His answer? "I'm not sweating." At that point, I became agitated. Up until that moment, I was keeping my composure, but his lack of concern really wounded me. Perhaps he would change his mind if we waited another 2 years to get engaged. He said at the end of the talk that he would not be involved in any manner or pay for the wedding. Arch made the proposal a few days later. It was a wonderful evening. Our family were present save for my dad and his fiancée, and everything was ideal. We made social media posts about it. There was also total radio silence from my dad's side as friends and relatives greeted us with congratulations. I began questioning myself. Perhaps I had acted too quickly. Perhaps I was at fault. I thus made contact with him. I sent him a sincere text message letting him know that he is my father and that I wanted him to be my father's man at my wedding. His answer? He requested my email address. I gave it to him, bewildered. I got a lengthy, really emotional email a few hours later. He said that I had insulted him and ruined what ought to have been a memorable moment between a father and daughter. He said that Arch and I were to blame for our relationship's breakdown and that it would require a great deal of work to mend it. "But you got exactly what you wanted," he said in closing. "We are being supported by Arch's family, my mom and my stepdad. Since my dad pulled out, my mom and stepdad have volunteered to cover the wedding expenses. Although organizing the wedding has been enjoyable, this whole issue has made me wonder if I am truly at fault." Thus reddit Ida for proceeding with my engagement and wedding arrangements in spite of my father's disapproval. Since there have been several comments about this, change one has been made. For him and his family, money is not a problem. Therefore, he is not attempting to avoid paying for the wedding, and the 2 years of waiting have nothing to do with saving. He has been in retirement for a long time. Edit 2, since I am unable to respond to every remark that mentions this, I will post it here. I suppose out of respect, I wanted my fiancé to ask my parents. Although we saw it as a means of including them in this next phase of life, rather than as a request for his consent to marry me. I always found it to be a charming gesture. I apologize, but I'm not sure how to put it into words. In addition, my mom and his relationship was always quite cordial, and I would even say that they have been friends for the entirety of my life. My mom and stepdad would bring him and his fiancée to our gatherings, and there were never any arguments, at least not in front of my brother and me. I can make some educated guesses as to why they got divorced, but I'm not positive. It simply wasn't a topic of conversation. I should also note that, contrary to what some commentators have said, they decided on custody on their own and avoided a legal struggle. He moved out and lived 2 minutes away, so there was never a custody battle. My mom didn't want his money, so there was also never a struggle over it. All she wanted was to remain home and celebrate Christmas with us. Remarks to which the operator has responded, information, or one, did your parents get married when you were young? No, I'm not very young. However, they were married really quickly. After 11 months, my mom wedded her current spouse, whom she had known since I was 4 years old. He told me it wasn't really about that when I brought it up to him during our lengthy conversation to see if that was his explanation. On whether the argument may have been caused by her father's fiancé, I don't know why, but it's possible. Before all of this, she and I had a wonderful relationship. Though they weren't particularly close, they always looked forward to seeing each other. Since all of this, I haven't heard from her. Could you tell me what the potential issue was that her father wasn't telling her? I asked myself the same question. I believe that he initially sought the blessings of my mother and stepfather. I've spoken to my fiancé, my mother, his parents, and a few other individuals who may be seen as mentors to us, and I believe he believes we're too young to make sure we are making the correct choices and to maintain a strong marriage and relationship. We participate in couples therapy. Was and her father really that close? Oh, I see. I have always respected and cherished him as my father, even if we are not close. I've always wanted to have a father-daughter dance with him and my stepdad after they accompany me down the aisle. His reaction to all of this information has me even more perplexed. 28th September 2024. I hadn't spoken to my dad since this whole event happened, which was around 4 months ago, until a few days ago. I had his notifications turned off, so I didn't immediately notice when he contacted me. I literally dropped everything when I finally noticed it as I was leaving work. My Celsius and the lip liner that came out of my purse. You will be missed. I am messaging you because we need to talk, he wrote in his message. I considered not answering at all, but ultimately, my worry, and let's face it, my peace of mind won out. I responded to the text by saying that I'm willing to talk as long as it's focused on the future and not on the past. The next day, we planned a call. He begins the call by declaring that his love for me hasn't altered. Almost instantly after that, he shifts to talking about how angry and unhappy he is that he had to initiate contact. What? Then he inquired as to whether a wedding date had been chosen. In the hopes that he might alter his mind, I informed him that it would be late next year. However, no, he then said, "Do you have a venue?" "Yes," I replied. His answer, "Thus this is taking place. Of course I'm not telling any family members not to travel. They can decide to do it. No sides exist. Since no one in the family is aware of my perspective, I attempted to convey that there are other viewpoints. With the exception of my grandmother, who has made it apparent that she supports him, I don't have a close relationship with that side of the family." He interrupted me, stating that he didn't want to spend too much time on the phone. That was the only thing he said. He agreed when I asked if I might ask him a question before he hung up. "Do you stand by your decision not to come?" I inquired. "It depends on how I'm treated," he said. Right now, I'm in complete awe. I had never treated him disrespectfully, so I asked him to explain. Then all was revealed. He believes it would be utterly insulting to him if I allowed both him and my stepdad to accompany me down the aisle, since he feels deserving of the title of father of the bride. He continued by emphasizing that my biological father, my stepfather, should never have been sought for his approval because it was not his. The only way he would think about attending the wedding is if he were given the respect he merits as the bride's father. The worst part was that he told me my mom needed to contact him to discuss everything. All right. My mother, however, is not amenable to that. She is guarding her peace by not calling him, which is understandable, as she ought to. He may pick up the phone and tell her directly if he wants to speak with her. I'm still in shock. I had every intention of inviting him at first, but now I am at a loss for words. It feels so screwed up all over. My mom and stepdad are furious, as are the parents of my fiancé. To be honest, I have no idea. I didn't anticipate providing an update at all, much less this quickly. However, here we are. Since that call, I haven't spoken to him, and I'm considering sending him a letter. But before I make a decision, I want to spend a few days to collect myself. I'll provide another update if I do send anything. This is the current situation.